this position is unconditional. We believe that God is going to act for us, but our faithfulness to God is not preconditioned on whether he will or will not intervene for us. This is our stance regardless, even if we have to die.
Yeah.
This is our stance. And I think for me that is the strongest and the greatest, where you can have that unconditional declaration of faith.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Season 7 of the All Nations Church podcast, where we are enjoying a deep dive into the book of Daniel. I'm here again with Kier Adams and Chris Hamer-Hodges.
Another episode. Exciting.
Another episode. It's Daniel chapter 3 now, which is the one chapter of Daniel where he himself is not a character.
Interesting, yeah, that's true.
So give us a little summary of what happens in Daniel chapter 3, Chris.
So in Daniel chapter 3, you'd have thought after what happened in Daniel chapter 2 that the king would have learnt his lesson about statues and about the importance of God. But it seems that, like many all-powerful rulers, he has a short memory and is more taken up in his own plans.
Yeah.
So what we find in Daniel chapter 3 is the king constructing his own huge statue, a huge statue of gold.
Only of gold.
Only of gold,
which is interesting, isn't it?
Because that represented him.
Yes, because the other statue in Daniel 2 is not all of gold.
No, that's right.
But he makes it all about him.
He makes it all about him.
Yeah.
So, typical, despotic ruler. There's a touch of the narcissist and the megalomania.
Yes.
But yes, he sets up this huge image of gold. And in order to celebrate it, he basically, because as we've looked at, he's not just king of one realm, but he's king of many realms, and he gets all the satraps, all the governors, all the rulers, all of those have to come. And of course, we remember that at the end of Daniel chapter 2, that would have included Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who'd just been promoted to one of those positions in the kingdom of Babylon and had been given their own positions of rule and responsibility. So he summons them all to come to the dedication of this huge statue of gold. And then basically says, we're going to play music from all these different types of instruments. And when you hear the music, everyone must bow down and worship this golden statue that I have constructed. And needless to say, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego refused to do that because that would be idolatry. That would go against their identity, which they took a stand for in chapter 1.
Yeah.
So they refused to do it. And because there were so many people there, they might have got away with it, except they get grassed up by some of the other rulers who say, Nebuchadnezzar, look, some of these Jews who you've recently promoted, so probably a bit of sour grapes there amongst the longer standing rulers, say these Hebrews who you've promoted, they're not obeying you. When the music plays, they're not bowing down and worshipping. So Nebuchadnezzar summons them and quite reasonably wants to hear it from themselves and says, is this true? Is it true that you're not willing to bow down? If I'm giving you a chance now, if you will bow down, then fine. But if you don't, then I'm going to have you flung into a fiery furnace. We're not sure what this was, but it could have been a smelting furnace because it was something that they could heat incredibly hot.
Which they probably used to build the statue.
Which they could have, yes. Yeah. It was probably still there because they'd used it to smelt the gold to make the statue. And then Shadrach and Meshach and Abednego make this remarkable stand of faith, when they are being faced down by the ultimate ruler and despot of the whole world. They're not intimidated. They make this incredible declaration of faith and they say, no, basically, we won't bow down because we serve God and that would be wrong for us. And we believe that God will rescue us from your hand. But even if he doesn't, that statement of unconditional faith, even if we have to die, we are willing to make our stand, and we will not worship the image of gold that you've set up. So they get flung into the fiery furnace, and then something remarkable happens, that even though the fiery furnace has been heated so hot that even the people taking them into the furnace get killed because of its intense heat, we see that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are not only unharmed but unbound, that the only thing that gets burnt is their shackles that they were tied with. And what's more, the king sees 4 men. There's someone else who looks like a son of the gods walking with them in the fiery furnace. And so he calls them out, and they come out, and we're told there's not even the smell of fire on them when they come out of the furnace.
Wow. So let's begin at the end there then. Who do we think that 4th person in the fiery furnace was?
Well, my guess would be it was Jesus.
Yeah.
It's either an angel or it's Jesus.
Yeah.
But the language, like a son.
Yeah.
The son is a picture of God the Son.
Yeah.
So a son of the God, son of God. My guess is that Jesus was with them in the fiery furnace, which would tie with a lot of other motifs where God talks about he's the one who brought them out of the iron smelting furnace of Egypt. Yeah. And he's the one who walks with us through the fiery trials.
Yeah, I like that. And this isn't the last time we're going to meet someone who we think is the Son of God in Daniel, is it? But
that's right.
It's quite telling that the first time we meet him is not in a picture of glory or rule or majesty. It's standing with his people in the midst of a trial.
Indeed.
Which you've said a couple of times already is a really big theme of the book, that trials come.
It is.
They go.
It is.
Reign after them.
So if you think about it, if it is Christ, that means that Jesus himself was so concerned about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego that he chooses to appear to them in his pre-incarnate form in the fiery furnace. So you kind of think, well, if he cares that much about them, why didn't he spare them from the fiery furnace in the first place? And I think this is where sometimes our expectation and God's plan sometimes diverge. That we often think of salvation as being saved from something, when often God's plan is a greater plan to save us through something. That he doesn't always save us from the fiery furnace, but whenever we go through a fiery trial, he's there with us. And whatever he leads us into, he will lead us out from, and not just out back to where we were, but to somewhere even greater. And that trial, even if it was designed to destroy us, the fact that they came out and there wasn't even the smell of smoke on them shows that which is sent to destroy us actually can, under the divine sovereignty and plan of God, be turned to be to our greater advantage. And it seems to me that God delights to do that throughout the scriptures, to take that which was intended to harm and destroy and to turn it and to be the means of salvation or grace or advancement of his people. You see it like in when David goes out in his war against the Philistines. He takes the sword of Goliath, their own champion sword, that was kind of raised in defiance against the people of God, becomes the instrument of David's defeat. You see it in the book of Esther, where Haman raises the gallows where he wants to kill Mordecai, but he himself gets hung on it. And then ultimately you see it in the cross, which that kind of worst form of torture and death, God turns to be the ultimate source of life and blessing. So, I think we need to know and take comfort that when we go through a time of trial, we've not missed it. God's not angry with us, but he's with us. Even though we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, we will not fear, because you are with us and your rod and staff comfort us.
Let's think about the chapter as a whole then next. It's it's quite a stark and kind of shocking sequel to Daniel 2, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Like you said, Nebuchadnezzar he's not yet come to worship the God of Israel.
No.
That's going to happen later. So his interpretation of the dream is basically like, well, sing some golden, let's get people to worship me.
Yes.
And everything in the rest of the chapter just seems to be slightly off, doesn't it? Off centre.
Indeed. Indeed. Not just off, but I would say it's kind of diametrically opposed.
That's a much better way of putting it, actually.
So if you think about what the eternal purpose of God is, for himself, for all peoples and nations and tribes to worship him as God, and for his kingdom to come, that means his just rule comes out on the earth, and there will be an ultimate judgment where the righteous are rewarded and the wicked are punished. And then you compare that with Daniel chapter 3, you almost see a complete mirror image, a complete distortion, a turning on its head, that we have the statue, which is a false god, and the song, the music of all these different instruments is like a false worship.
Yeah.
And then the edict that goes out is like a false law.
Yeah.
And then the fact that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are summoned before the king is like a false judgment.
Yeah.
And then the story ends, or seems to end, with them being cast into the fiery furnace, which is like a false hell. So you almost see a distortion. It would seem that like the enemy himself is, just as he has in many places, seek to take the plan of God and turn it on its head, just as he did in the garden, take that authority structure, man and woman over creation, and turn it on its head. That we see a satanic scheme to see the worship of God distorted and the righteous punished and the wicked exalted, but we see that his plan doesn't succeed.
Obviously, it says that he sets up an image of gold.
Yeah.
And we see the significance. Is there a significance in the fact that he sets up an image rather than just saying, come and worship me?
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything in that? Because, of course, it doesn't necessarily say that it's an image of himself.
No.
Is there anything in that has significance? Or
Well, one very strong parallel is in the book of Revelation.
Right.
Where they create an image of the beast,
right,
and a golden image of the beast, and command that everyone should worship the golden image of the beast, and anyone who doesn't will be killed. So it's a parallel, isn't it, between what we see, this idea of constructing a golden idol and forcing everyone to worship it, or be executed. But I also think, and this is because sometimes people get scared of the beast, don't they? Yeah. But there's also, I think, a pre-echo, that this is something that has been around right from the beginning, because one of the first examples of idolatry that we find comes in the book of Exodus. When Moses is up the mountain, they construct a golden image of a beast, of a calf of gold, and demand that everyone worship it. This is your God who brought you out of Egypt. And so we see that idolatry and the worship of the created creature, rather than the worship of the Creator himself, is something that's as old as idolatry itself.
So it's almost tracing through the biblical narrative.
The
creation of human hands.
Yes.
The desire for us to worship that, rather than
to
the
worship
ultimate creator.
God. Yeah. But I think I like that, because like when you're tempted to be scared of the beast, just remember that in his original form he was just a baby cow.
I love that.
That's grounded to powder.
Indeed, grounded to powder.
So this is Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego's moment to shine. Isn't it
is, yeah.
And their confession of faith is one that kind of has echoed down the ages, really. It's quite remarkable.
It is, yeah.
So say a little bit about that and how that kind of helps us in terms of
Yeah, so
navigating
there are
trials
three
more generally?
there are three parts to their declaration of faith. So the first is they say, the God we serve is able to save us, which I think is a great declaration of faith, to understand not just that God is powerful, but that he is able to save, that there's an application to themselves, that this God that they worship is concerned for them. So they kind of take this idea of the ultimate God, but there's a personal connection. The God that we serve is able to save us. And then the second stage, they say, is, and he will rescue us from your hand. That's that idea that they did not just that he is able, but that he is willing and that he will. And that's kind of their position of faith, is that even in the face of this, even in the face of the ultimate ruler of the world, their confidence is in one who is even greater, and that they believe not just that he has the ability, but he is willing to intervene. It's like the leper who says to Jesus, if you are willing, you can make me clean. And Jesus says, I am willing, be clean. So they don't just know about God and his power, but they believe that this God is willing and will intervene. And then I think what's remarkable is the fact that they go to this third level of faith, where they say, and even if he does not, we will not bow the knee. And I've seen some people think that this is a kind of retreat, or somehow they're kind of allowing the fact that God might do it to dilute their faith. I don't see that at all. I think this is an even stronger declaration of faith, because what they're basically doing is they're saying this position is unconditional.
Right, yeah.
This position is unconditional. We believe that God is going to act for us, but our faithfulness to God is not preconditioned on whether he will or will not intervene for us. This is our stance regardless, even if we have to die. This is our stance. And I think for me that is the strongest and the greatest, where you can have that unconditional declaration of faith. Because so often when we face a trial, we can almost get locked, tunnel vision onto that trial, and think, when God heals me, then I will do this, or when God provides this financial need, then I'll be able to do this, rather than taking that bold declaration of faith that says, I believe that God's going to heal me, I believe that God's going to provide for me, but do you know what? This is what I'm going to do regardless, because it's the right thing to do, and it's what I believe pleases God.
Well, it's faith in God rather than in his deeds or acts.
Indeed.
What he gives us, isn't it?
Indeed.
Yeah, very good. I like that.
I like this approach because it helps us. There's a way of reading the Bible that keeps the Bible very distant from our lives, isn't it? But that's not really the point. And the point of these stories is to help us apply them to our lives. And I think you can imagine the writer to the Hebrews having people like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in mind when he's talking about heroes of faith.
Oh, absolutely.
Because their legacy is they're always together.
Yeah.
They're always agreed.
Yes.
They're great support to Daniel, but when they're left on their own, they stand on their own. They stand as a unit and say, "This is what God's going to do for us."
Yeah,
and it's inspired people ever since.
Indeed.
Where do you think Daniel was?
I think he was still at the court.
Okay.
So Daniel was promoted in the court.
Yeah.
So he had a role towards the king himself.
Yeah.
Whereas Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were made satraps. So they were given responsibility to rule a certain part of the king's kingdom on their behalf, whereas Daniel was to stay close to him. So I suspect that he was back at the palace managing things on the king's behalf, while he was out setting up his statue of gold and having this big festival.
Yeah, fascinating, because that is the one interesting thing about it. You don't have Daniel in this story, and yet I love the fact that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego don't wilt without Daniel.
No, they don't.
I think that's that's a really great testimony to them as well.
Yeah.
I'd love to know the conversation, like if they were catching up
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, you never believe what happened to us.
Yeah. Indeed.
Yeah, we saw the Son of God.
Dan's like, oh man,
I know.
I missed it.
Daniel gets his
does,
chance
yeah.
later.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
he doesn't
season
miss
two.
out.
No,
But yes, I guess he must have been. I think, knowing Daniel's character, he would have probably wanted to have been there in the thick of the action.
yeah, he would have certainly cheered them on. Right on, fellas,
Absolutely,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if he got wind of it, he'll have been praying for them for their deliverance. and
Absolutely,
everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Daniel will return in our
Yep.
next episode, where we meet King Nebuchadnezzar for the final time, actually.
Indeed.
So thank you for this again. Chris, great to be with you. Kier, great to be with you. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again for another episode very soon.